One thing I've always been a little bit curious about, and maybe at times even skeptical about, is the manufacturer's claims on the number of strikes slash fires that these will actually give you. Now, the Swedish Light My Fire steel, they claim about 12,000 on this one. Now, this Coghlan's brand here, which is just a little bit thinner in diameter but slightly longer, they claim 4,000 strikes according to the back there. You can pause that and read it if you want to. So, you know, what is it? I mean, both of these are very similar in size. One's claiming 4,000, the other is claiming 12,000, and I've seen everything in between. There's a lot of debate or discussion going on between Bic lighters and fire steels, and I know I touched on that already. Maybe we'll get back to doing a video on that, looking at the pros and cons of each. But I would like to know how many strikes these will actually give you. And so you probably guess what's going to go on here. I'm going to take maybe this Coghlan's brand out. I'll save my Light My Fire one, since I think that's a $20 steel. These are about $5 or so. And I'm going to go strike this thing and count the number of strikes that it takes to actually wear this thing down. So keep in mind that however many strikes we get, that doesn't directly translate over into the number of fires that we would get, because inevitably you're going to sometimes strike more than one time to get a fire started. I think at least all of the people that I converse with on the YouTube and the forums will readily admit that they've at times had struggled with even a fire steel, depending on what the weather is like. Right here in Arizona, where it's typically dry, I have struggled up in the North Country to get a fire going, just because the material's damp, using all natural materials that I would find or pick up in the woods. Now, sometimes I've given up before and pulled out a cotton ball and done it the easy way, but I always like to test my skill and see how comfortable I can get with not using any materials that I've brought with, and just use the ones that I can find, the ones that I've collected out there in the field. So if it came down to an emergency and all you had was a knife and a fire steel, you might not have that cotton ball either, or whatever accelerant or whatever type of thing you're using to typically catch a spark in peacetime, we'll say. Alright guys, we're going to do this out in the garage so I don't smoke up the house or set something on fire, but rather than use the little supplied metal friction striker that this comes with, I'm going to just use a small carbon steel bird and trout knife here. It's going to give me a little bit more torque and probably save my fingers and let me get through this thing a little bit easier, perhaps. One of the ground rules that we'll set: if it doesn't spark, I'm not going to count it. So if it does spark, then I'll count that as a successful strike. And I'll probably do this, I don't know, in segments. Maybe I can do 300, 400, 500 per night, and we'll just slowly wear this thing down, and I'll show you where it's at in the progress and how much steel it's taking off. At some point, I suspect that it might get thin enough that that it could break, but we'll just kind of watch and see how things go here. Nice. Okay, there's 10. We'll add that to the 10 we already had on there. This is actually throwing some nice molten metal down onto the ground here. So we'll just keep going here, and I'll show you, I'll give you some different views. Now the Coghlan's guys are really going to come after me. It's not a very deep hole in there, is there? Well, probably going to have to Gorilla Glue that in there. Alright guys, I went ahead and grabbed another one. This is also a Coghlan's. Even though it doesn't say it on there, it's a Coghlan's brand. Here's the little striker that comes with it. I've got that little guy on there. All right, here we go. My garage out here is a nice 100 degrees or so. This ought to be a great exercise. Huh? Well, there's 50 of them. All right, there's 100. It's throwing some great sparks. Some are going 6 feet away. So I might aim the camera here and shoot this way and just kind of show you guys. Every time I get to 100, I'm going to put a notch here so it's easy to keep track of. All right, that's 200. You can see I'm going to have to stop about every 50 because yeah, it's not easy. My forearms are getting pumped up from squeezing here. So let me jot that down. So 200. That's 300. Whew. Oh. Whew. Arm pump. Woo. Oh. Oh. Okay, that's 400, guys. See a little bit of a taper, a little bit of thinning going on right here. I'm not sure if the end's going to show anything yet. Well, 400, and I'm sweating big time out here. You can see I got some safety glasses because some of those were a little bit unpredictable. Taking into consideration the sheer number of strikes I'm doing, it's probably wise. I'm at 400 now, guys. I thought, well, maybe I'll try to do 1,000 tonight. I don't know. I'm gonna see how it goes. That's 450. There's 500, and I need some water. It's a pretty good guess on the temperature. I'm sweating so much. Let me get my gloves back on. All right. That was 600. $700. Just occurred to me that this is going to be way more difficult than the survival saw through the rebar. I guess I knew that going in. $800. I still can't believe I'm actually doing this. Okay. 804, 805, 806, 807, 850. You saw it. Okay, I was at 842 and it finally popped out. Didn't break though. It's gonna stop at 1,000 anyhow. And I'm at 842. I'm gonna go put the glue on this one and we'll continue with this test. Just goes to show you that if you don't have a way of refixing this to the handle when you're out there, it could be a bit annoying for you. You can always wrap it with Gorilla Tape, but it's going to effectively shorten your rod a little bit too. So anyhow, just something to be aware of. The other one did it. How many strikes out of the box? 15, 20, whatever. So this one did a little bit better. Alright guys, decided to come in here really quick and show you this in a little bit better light. You can see a slight taper dishing out and leaving this thick. And I've seen this on some of my own well-worn ferro rods because most of the pressure gets dished out here and then it starts to flare outwards towards its original size. It just depends. It depends on lots of things, including your striking device. If the knife is real flexible, it tends to dish out here close to the shank and then throw flames out if it's flexible. If it's a real rigid piece of steel, it'll tend to drag or carry all the way through. And it even depends on how you're holding it. So if you're holding it with a lot of support underneath and you strike it across, you can usually get it to wear out all the way at the tip. However, if you don't have much to hold on to and you're kind of grabbing it right back here, I usually put one finger right under it like this. It does tend to dish out with that slightly flexible blade that I'm using. So, was it 849 or 842? I wrote it down, I can't remember. We'll glue this and we'll continue on tomorrow. They say 4,000 strikes. I'm guessing they're pretty close to being right in there. Alright, here's the other one. This is the one that flew off after just a few strikes. Here's the one I was using. Here's the one I started with. So I just used a little bit of Gorilla Glue. And You know, if you're going to use these, it might be a good idea to yank that thing out of the holder first and Gorilla Glue it. I'm guessing this Gorilla Glue is going to hold it better than what was originally in there. They might consider changing their epoxy or gluing formula. I'm not sure what they're using, but they didn't use enough of it. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.